but I think we both know how it feels. Gotta make it so hot like fire drill. And two can ride cause I spend cash on them wheels.
Okay, welcome. Health, Wealth, Self, episode 4, coming at you from Sao Paulo, Brazil. That is lovely Sao Paulo, neighborhood of Itaim, behind us right now at my friend's apartment, which is a fantastic apartment.
Pretty nice.
It's pretty nice. So, yeah, we're here. And this week, we are going to discuss and break down everything Sao Paulo. As of right now, we're a little bit, what would you say? Shy. A little bit of lack of sleep.
That would be a good way to put it. It's Sunday.
Currently, as of this recording, it's Sunday. And we didn't get a lot of sleep last night.
Over the last few days.
Over the last few days in general. Yeah, it's been quite the experience here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in Sao Paulo. This is not my first time to Sao Paulo, but it's Jason's first time. So, why don't we start just briefly talk about what we've been up to.
Yeah, so we got here about a week ago here last Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking off tomorrow after a full week.
Yeah.
But something that we had talked about basically like the first day or two from when I got here is kind of the culture shock of it. Before the trip, if you had asked me my anticipations of just being comfortable, getting around, how much they spoke English, and even though that sounds like, ignorant to say it as American, I anticipated with how big Sao Paulo is that there would be a lot of English here. And that is not the case. Very, very little English here. Much more English in Argentina, both in Mendoza and Buenos Aires and in Colombia from our last year's travels. So right off the bat, definitely a little bit of a culture shock. I didn't realize how comfortable I was being in Spanish-speaking countries. Even though I don't really speak Spanish, I'm used to hearing it and I can get around with it.
Yeah.
I know enough words
in
in certain situations to handle myself, where when I went from a little to zero, it's pretty astounding. Yeah,
that's one of the things that you said is the first thing is, neither me nor Jay speak Spanish. But it's been a year since I've been here in Sao Paulo, or even Brazil in general, and I've been taking even Portuguese classes, and it still is like a little bit overwhelming. That first day, I think, was a little bit, I would say uncomfortable. It was a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, you were just really out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And
it's interesting to think that even though we don't speak Spanish, how comfortable we still were being around Spanish. Because in America, even though you may not speak it, you're still around it fairly.
Especially in San Diego.
Especially in Southern California or other areas like that. So, yeah, that was number one. That it's definitely not a lot. That you do find pockets and you do find people. I think this neighborhood probably has more, which is crazy to say because it's still not a lot.
Yeah,
but
we're in Itaim Bibi.
So the neighborhood that we're currently recording this from is Itaim Bibi, which is a very nice neighborhood of Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
If you were wanting to come visit and check out the city, this is probably one of the safer neighborhoods. We'll get into safety and stuff that we felt as we were here in a little bit, but this is definitely one of the, I think, safer neighborhoods around you. It just feels like kind of like just like an upper class New York neighborhood, really. I mean, you can always just walk around with phone out and everything, and the security here in the buildings is crazy. But we'll get that into in a little bit. So so the first couple of days, I think a culture shock for kind of both of us coming back, me getting back into it, and I think Jay for the first time.
Yep, absolutely. And I also was surprised. There's not as much touristy things to do in the city as I was anticipating. Again, that may sound stupid, but you're coming into a big city of 14 to, I don't know the number, how many million, but it's a lot here.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Over 14 million, I think.
Yeah, over 14. That's just in the city proper.
Not metropolitan.
Yeah, metropolitan's like 29 million or something like.
So in that size of a city, I was anticipating being very busy with things to do, where I feel like within 2 days we kind of knocked out a lot of the touristy things, and it's kind of just a concrete jungle.
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, you can see the skyline behind us. It looks very cool. There's a couple rooftop bars.
Maybe it's too dark.
Yeah,
but still.
And I'm sure you'll have some footage in the vlog and things like
in
that.
The Sao Paulo vlog, yeah.
Yep. But it's really just concrete jungle. There's really, the architecture is really, it's kind of ugly, to be honest.
Yeah. It's not very,
especially coming from Argentina and Buenos Aires, where it's very, picturesque and beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, it's
very
not
different.
In actuality, it's more of an American city, really, in terms of its look. So the biggest difference I would say with the architecture here is, if you haven't and you're interested, go just Google Sao Paulo skyline. This city is massive. Mm-hmm. It is skyscrapers endlessly. It's like over the horizon, the skyscraper are big. But the difference here with the skyscrapers is none of them are actually connected. There's a ton of skyscrapers, but none of them are connected. Where like in New York, everything's kind of like at least at a base level rather connected. Here it's not, so it's just kind of like things just, skyscrapers just popping up everywhere. But yeah, it's massive, and it's more of an American city in that way, where I felt like leaving Buenos Aires was definitely more of a European style city, where it's like they took the building of their buildings as art instead of, for function, where this seems like, buildings get high and they get big because of function, not because of they're trying to make it look super pretty.
And that was another thing. Even a lot of Brazilians that we talked to, or people that have lived here many, many years, because we kind of picked their brains being here, and we told them the difference between here and Buenos Aires, and they said, "Oh yeah, Argentina, it's a very European infused, country." So yeah, they're like, when I was talking about how much more English was there compared to here, they're like, "Oh, of course, it's much more European there," and you got that sense with architecture, with the food, with the people.
Yes,
most people speak English. I mean, a lot of people. So, and they said Brazil is very, very different, and I just didn't know that coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, which sounds silly, but so yeah, it's definitely a lot of differences right off the bat.
Yeah, and so I mean, and the things that to do are really just like, this is one of those cities. I think there are the things to do. There are things to do, touristy, but the things to do are kind of more like just being not a native, but just being a liver of the city. I mean, you're just doing. It's mostly kind of like New York. It's like just a lot of nightlife, and things like that. There's a lot of good restaurants. Oh, the food
is so good.
Some
of the best restaurants.
Yeah, the food is unbelievable here in Sao Paulo.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. I hate sushi. I hate it, and I actually enjoyed 2 sushi restaurants here, and that's kind of unheard of. Yeah, they were top.
And I love sushi, so they were very, very good.
Yeah, the food here is unbelievable. But yeah, so there are some things to do in terms of, tours or whatever. There are, certain tours, especially in English and stuff, but it doesn't really even seem like the city of Sao Paulo in general is investing in that. It seems like more of like independent kind of contractors are doing that.
Because we did that free walking tour.
Yeah, so we did.
It was in English.
Yeah, and it was in English, and you just kind of walked around downtown Centro, Sao Paulo, and it was nice. It was nice to see. It was nice to see some of the history, but it wasn't completely, overwhelming in terms of like the stuff that we saw or anything like that. So
my favorite thing in terms of, I guess, touristy has been the park. I can't pronounce it, so I won't try.
Yeah,
it starts
it's near
with
Itaim Bibi. It's this big park. Yeah,
it starts with an I. I'm sure there'll be some awesome footage in the vlog as well. But I've been there. I went there 3 times in like 4 days.
It's a nice park.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's like right kind of like, I posted on Instagram about it, and I put my caption as like a little oasis in this concrete jungle, because this, like, I can't overstate enough. This city is massive. It's just huge. Itaim Bibi is a neighborhood in the south part, Zona de Sul, which means just South Zone, and it's a circle. It's a big circle, and we only got to, so from Itaim Bibi, which I would still say is part of the city, it's about maybe a half-hour drive to get to the Centro, which is like old Centro, the city. And then there's Zona do Norte, which is even above that, which we didn't even remotely even get to touch. I mean, so it's big. But no, that park was beautiful. It was very calm. It was very So we did that a couple days. So we knocked out the touristy stuff in the first like couple days, which was good, because coming off, I think, Buenos Aires, I think we needed a little bit of relaxing a little bit, and so we got to do that, do some tourist stuff and whatever, and then come Wednesday through today, it's been really kind of experiencing the nightlife, experiencing more of the culture, trying to meet natives, this experience especially for me and I think for Jason this time was a lot different than Buenos Aires.
Yes.
Because we do have also a social circle here. Like there are people that we know here that can help us out and show us where to go, and and friends, and and they're awesome. So that really helps, I think, the experience here.
Yeah, I think the people that we happen to know here really plugged us in, and they're around our age, a little bit older, so they kind of have the same feel of what we're looking for and the places we like to go in terms of bars, lounges, clubs, and they happen to be, know the city very well, where we were going to the nicest places, where if we were just on our own Googling we may not have even known to go.
Yeah,
we would have only gone on the list.
We probably would have been somewhere completely different than here.
Yeah.
Because everything we read, or that I read, was Avienda Paulista. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And the place that we are right now, the owner of this apartment, he was like, oh, I never go there. I kind of more stay around here. So yeah, there's a lot to explore. We can't. This is also, I think we said this with Buenos Aires as well. This isn't something that you can say you completely explored in these days. We had a week here so far to really kind of get the gist of it, and this is my second time. So we didn't get to it a ton of it, but we still got to explore like a good amount.
Yeah, and this may sound weird, but I don't feel like this is a visiting city. I feel like this is like you're gonna be for like somehow working. Like I want to stay here, but not as a tourist anymore. Like I actually want to work or do something, but I love the nightlife and the food so much and the people that I would love to stay here, but just not as a tourist. Like I would be almost bored by not doing anything. I would love to like living here. I think it would be an amazing city.
I think it'd be
a
an
longer
amazing
period
city.
instead of just visiting for a couple days. It may not get the same feels if you were going to be here for a long period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think being here for a long period of time would be great. Yeah. I mean, there are people that we know that have moved down here from the States, and they've had to for work, because it's a hustling, bustling city, that now love this city. Mm-hmm. So let's actually dive into that though. So in your experience, because I have my experiences, especially from living in Brazil last year, what is your, kind of overall, hierarchical thoughts about the Brazilian culture? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of rabbit holes we can go down with that. So
yeah.
We'll just kind of start with basics, and we can kind of go.
Yeah,
there's a couple different tangents, because I feel like there's a dating one, there's a working one, there's a nightlife one, but in general, it's kind of similar to Argentina, where everything is a little bit later. It's not as late as Argentina was, but it's still later than the United States.
Yeah, way later.
In terms of eating dinner, going out to bars, going out to clubs. Bars will close at 2, but the clubs will be open till 5 or 6. I mean, I was out until 5:30. Friday night into Saturday morning.
Yep.
So
I was out till 5:30 yesterday.
So I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, like what in New York would be in that sense. But I would say the going out culture, or I would say would just be specific with the dating. I find very appealing down here. It's very different. It's hard to explain, because I mean, you've told me about it endless times. I've never firsthand experienced it. So given what I was saying about it, given to now what you've experienced, what do you think? What do you think about that? Like, what do you think of the differences, or do you think I was right, or do you think it was? No, I mean, I think the way you explained it always made sense to me, but there's a difference of intellectually knowing something and experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, I understood what you were saying, but not having the firsthand, like if someone's blind, you're never going to get them to explain what the color green looks like until they see green.
Exactly.
You can't use words to explain that experience. So that's why I would buffer with that. But to get into some specifics, I would say people here are just much more, I would say, sexually free and less repressed than in the United States in general.
Yeah.
And they're just a lot more fun. They take care of their bodies. I would say most people were, in shape, men and women. Mm-hmm. We didn't see, I don't think I really saw any fights or anything like that.
No.
But I would say the men down here are, by an American standard or United States standard, are very aggressive when it comes to meeting women or in terms of dating or anything like that. Now, by their standards, that's what they do. It's normal. But if you're an American and you're not used to that, that can be a culture shock in itself.
It's very
I wasn't as shocked by that personally, because I had already known about it from you and other people. If I didn't know about it, maybe I would have been a little bit, whoa, what's going on here? But the first Wednesday night, we're going into that bar/club, and you're just seeing people kind of that you see physically grabbing.
Yeah,
you actually see
men
that.
will like, and it's not like in an aggressive way, meaning like violent. It's more of like men will like if they want to hit on you, they'll just grab your arm, they'll like, touch you. It's a very touchy culture. It's a very touchy culture.
Yeah, and when you're meeting people, you're doing the hugging, the kiss, and even if it's non-sexual, it's still very touchy culture. I would say.
And it's kind of like a joke down here, but it is true, and you see it everywhere. That making out here is like a handshake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said that, and it's a fact.
Yeah, it's you walk into bars and everyone is making out.
Yep.
It's just people just make out all the damn time.
Yep.
But it's like it doesn't necessarily even mean anything
to them.
Like people
to
just
them,
like
them,
to them it doesn't really mean much. They just like kissing.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. But it's just very. Like, I think that you said that great. I think it's very just physically free and very, like, sexually, free.
Things that I think that we centralize or make dramatic back home, it's just that they don't have that upbringing. Yeah. They don't have that, that conditioning that we do. Yeah,
which I think is an interesting point because, with what one of our friends said today, it actually can go, like, too far the other extreme where like, back home, like, Brazilians that have never traveled to the United States will say that they actually like the fact that they can just go out with their friends and just be with their friends. Where like here, it's like if you're going out, everyone that the minute they walk in the bar has their eyes on who are they gonna make out with. Like you're going to the bar to meet someone. Everyone is going to the bar to meet somebody. Yeah. And there's not just like, oh no, I'm just gonna go out and I just want to get a drink with my boys.
A girls' night or a guys' night.
Yeah, or just like catch up with some people, whatever. It's like no, everyone has their head on a swivel. And something else is eye contact here is
very strong,
heavy.
Yeah, which I personally love.
Yeah.
Because I tend to do that back home, and it's like here if you're going out to meet, if you're I can only speak from my experience. If you're a guy if you're single, looking to meet some girls down here, and you want to know which ones to talk to, just kind of scan the room, and if someone's holding eye contact for you, it's basically putting a sign up, "Hey, come talk to me, dummy."
Yeah, literally.
That's all you need to know. And there's no real games here.
Nope.
It's very easy, I would say, to meet people, even if you're just having a normal conversation. Yep. You don't have to come up with a clever line or a pickup line. It's none of that nonsense or none of that BS. If you speak Portuguese, it's shooting fish in a barrel. I don't. And I still felt. I was able to, go out and interact with some people. I would just ask, "Hey, do you speak English?"
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, and that's
you don't need to overcomplicate it.
Kind of hangs itself, especially if they were holding some type of eye contact. Yeah, then it's pretty.
But something I did think that was slightly. We can come back to that if you want, but surprising, and it's just I have a very small sample size, so I'm not speaking for all of Brazil and every single person, but in the experience that I've seen and heard from people and friends that live down here. The amount of people that I would say cheat or just you're going out, even if you're in a relationship and they're still looking to do other things.
Yeah.
Of course, that happens back home in any country, but
here
I would say it's different. And I would say if you're single, it's amazing for that. But if you're looking for like a serious, committed, long-term relationship, obviously you can find that here, of course. But I would say the people that have lived here for 3 to 5+ years and based on their experiences that they shared with us, they said it's a little bit more challenging. Yeah. Because everyone's just always looking. There's just so many options.
There's so many options, and everyone's always looking.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the thing.
It's not a question of who you're hanging out with. It's just like, who do I want to hang out with?
Yeah, who do I want to?
It sounds great. It sounds like, it's not, I don't know. It sounds awful maybe saying that, but if you were here, there would be some reference.
Yeah,
so.
you would get, for sure. So yeah, no, absolutely, and I definitely second that, and it's something that kind of kicks you in the ass too a little bit when you get down here and you forget, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's right. But like you said, I find it refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find it refreshing that like there's very little games like.
Yep. Especially coming from Southern California, where games are
huge. Games are pretty rampant down there.
Yeah.
And social status is kind of a big. Social status, I guess, is big here too, but it's just a lot less of like. No, if someone's looking at you, they want you to speak to them, and they'll actually, like a big difference down here. That's weird. That's weird to an American per se, is that like, normally like a man would want to be, in his terms, a gentleman and not like maybe push the envelope too much, or not the envelope, but like kind of go forward, maybe kiss or whatever. here, if you don't make out with the girl, or you don't like, push the envelope in terms of touching and like moving the interaction forward in maybe a sexual or touchy way, they'll just think you don't like them.
Yeah.
Like it won't be like, oh, he's not trying to kiss me, he doesn't like me, I'll move on. Which is like complete, because like American guy can come down here and think he's being a gentleman, trying to meet somebody. I'm being nice, and the girl will just stop because she thinks he's not interested because he's not touching.
And this isn't just us like two guys. This is literally girls telling us this.
Yes.
So I know they're not here, but I promise you, this isn't us coming up with this theory. This is a Brazilian woman telling us this.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and then it's happened, and then it's happened before.
And they're like, oh yeah, if they don't kiss me, then they're not interested.
Yeah, that means
like
this must mean they don't like me.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well, I mean, it does, and it sounds like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense, and I guess in a world of so many options that could be that way, but.
I think it's something we talked about. I think there's something said, not getting too technical, but I think there's something said for not going for that right away. Like maybe like don't be like, because there's like a spectrum of maybe that nice guy American to all the way to the right to the aggressive Brazilian. I think there's a middle ground you want to be where you're still going for what you want.
You want to create tension.
Yeah, and maybe building up to it a little bit.
Yeah,
and
but
being a little bit different.
At the same time, not giving exactly right away all the time.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, so that's definitely a big difference here, and it's something that you learn pretty quickly. I mean, you learn kind of right away that it's like, yeah, no, Brazilian culture is different. Like it's a lot more open, it's a lot more free, and just different.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of I would say positives if you're single looking to have that type of experience. Again, it depends what you're looking for, but if you're, I mean, I can't speak from the girls or woman's perspective, but if you're a guy looking to live in a city with some amazing food, awesome nightlife, and meet women who take care of their bodies and are very sexual and enjoy going out, I mean, I think you're gonna have some fun here, especially if you're willing to learn some Portuguese. I mean, I really know very little. And I still, I mean, luckily, we had some friends who spoke who definitely helped, but at the end of the day, if you're taking action and putting yourself out there, you'll be totally fine.
Yeah, you'll be totally fine. Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, so it's definitely like that, and moving, and then I think moving on to other aspects of the culture, it's like what I found as well, and what people have also told us here, is that the things are a little slow. Things move slow here. It's kind of like everything is very bureaucratic, and it just moves kind of at a snail's pace, that if you're an American, you just get pretty frustrated pretty quickly.
Impatient,
Which is it's something I think you just be aware of, that when you're down here, that like things are just gonna move a little bit slower, and things won't be done as efficiently, especially if you're an American, that you'd really like them to be done, because they're just not gonna get that way. And we have friends down here that have just said that they've, in terms of professionally, they've just killed it, because their American working lifestyle has just really set them up and pushed them forward in terms of their career, because things are just like the Brazilian culture, like, and I don't want to speak in like really generally, but if you are going to speak generally, it's like it's a very social culture. So if you're we've had friends that told us, like, in a work environment down here, it's more just like you get in, you grab a coffee, you chat with all the people in the break room while you have a coffee. It's like, and then you go to work, and then it's lunch at 1, you get back at 2, you go grab another coffee, you talk with people in there. It's like, so in a work day, you'll get maybe like 3-4 hours of actual work, and the rest of the time is bonding with your colleagues. Where in America, that's just not the case. You're at work to work, and so you work. So that's obviously that's very general and not everything, but from the experiences of some of our friends that work down here, that's what they say, is that the American mindset pushes them forward. So yeah, absolutely. Anything else on culture? What do you think?
In terms of culture, I mean, the only things that I'm thinking, maybe we can talk about it later, but just in terms of like differences from Argentina. I mean, you can use your credit card pretty much everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's very Americanized that way.
Yeah, it's very Americanized that way.
Let's get into that. So, Uber is great here.
Uber's
perfect here.
Yep.
There, you can just get around with Uber, and you can get around with cards. So if you have a card, the Chase Reserve again, with no international fees, you can just use that everywhere.
And there was you can actually use credit card in taxis here. I did that last night.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can. I forgot about that.
So credit card goes a long way here.
Credit card goes a long way here.
Yep.
yeah, in terms of if you're at these beautiful restaurants and tipping and stuff, tipping's, you don't have to tip here. Tipping is included if they want it.
Yeah, no one really tips here.
Yeah, no one really tips. But a thing that I've talked to you about a lot, and now that I've been here, fairly frequently, that I love is how waiters work here. Like the way the waiting staff works is like in America. So just for reference, if you're in America and you want, to say you want extra ketchup, whatever, right? Let's give an example. You have to wait for your server to come back to your table again and then say, is everything okay? And then you say, I want this, and then they'll come back. So you could be sitting there for 2 to 5 minutes until your server comes back. Here that's just not the case. So you don't tip here, one, because you don't have to. It's included in the fare of the check. But two is all of the waiters kind of work in a group, and they kind of work in a unison, and if they're not specifically helping a table for whatever they need, they'll stand in the corner. And in America, I think this would come off as rude, but here you have to do it. Is anytime you want something, you raise your hand, and you look for the nearest waiter, and the first eye contact you get, they'll come at you.
We had a friend named Amigo, they would call him over.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're being rude and aggressive, but again, it's just no, it's just very direct.
They're just like, no, I need you now, so come here. Which could be kind of like culture shocky. If you're waiting to come, for your server to come back, you just don't. Just raise your hand. Yeah. Say come here or something. Which they know that's the case. So for that, that's a little different. But I actually, now that I've done it, I kind of like it a little bit more. Yeah. I think it's
you're never really waiting around.
No,
you're always, if you need something, it's just and they're coming around anyways. But if you need something in between that, you're just very, hey, come here.
Yeah. So the quainter, smaller shops won't come around as much as those nicer places we've been to, but
yeah, we've been pretty lucky. So that again, we're pretty much in the nicest part of the city, going to very nice restaurants,
very quality, quality restaurants.
Yeah. In terms of the pricing, I would say not much more expensive than Argentina was, both Mendoza or Buenos Aires. Not as expensive as New York City, but I would say probably more than where I'm from in San Diego.
Yeah.
Or comparable.
Yeah, it's comparable, I would say.
Maybe a little bit more. Especially for some of the nice dinner, we were spending a good amount. But again, it's very high quality.
High quality.
I wouldn't say it's cheap here, so I wouldn't expect that.
You're getting some for your dollar, but you're not getting a ton for your dollar.
Yeah.
You're getting some, I think, leniency. You're getting some of that, but you're not getting everything.
And I guess in a sense you could do it cheap, but we're wanting to go to these nice restaurants.
Yeah.
Nicer bars, nicer clubs.
Yeah, I think we want a little bit higher quality of an experience.
Yeah.
We don't want to be
just what we want to do.
Diving it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah. And you want to talk maybe I don't know if you think that's worthwhile, but the clubs or even the bars. When you go into a bar, you get basically a card with a number or a code on it. So every time you order something, if you're at a bar and you go to the bar, you order, you're not going to pay for that drink at that time of purchase. You're going to give them your card. They're going to scan it on there and then give you back, and then they'll give you the drink really quick.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, when you're leaving that bar or club, you're going to get in a line to pay, and all of the drinks that were put on that card, you're going to pay for at once.
So you pay all at once. So it's like you're automatically always starting a tab every time.
Yeah.
So you're never just closing out ever. They give you this card. And you do it, which I think there's pluses and minuses to it.
Pros and cons to it.
Yeah, because one, you get your drink, I think, pretty quickly.
Because
you're not screwing around with tips. You're not screwing around with all that stuff. You don't have to do that there. And you don't have to tip your bartender. But the negatives, I would say, is that if you're leaving at a prime time, or if you're leaving at the end of the night or whatever, a line could then build up and you're waiting to leave, which
I had to do.
Yeah, which gets annoying. I was lucky that I haven't had to do that yet since we've been here, but that happens. So there's definitely pluses and minuses, but another plus I would say is that they give you consumption.
Yeah.
So how this works is, I think it's pretty clever in a way. So it's like you're paying a cover to get in, essentially. So it's like, for example, the bar that we went to last night, this club called Sutan, which if you're here, it's great rooftop bar / club. It's very, very nice. It's very top tier, top quality. And the consumption was 200 reais, right?
250.
250. So it's 250, which What does that equate to?
About $78.
So it's $78 right now as of, this recording. That's the exchange rate. So what that means is that, so you're essentially paying, that 250 reais, but you get that in consumption. So if you go, you essentially need to, you don't need to, but whatever you don't spend on alcohol up to that 250 reais mark, then you're still paying that 250 reais. But if that 250 reais is all alcohol, you spend 250 reais in buying alcohol, then that's to your alcohol, right? So you're paying for that. So it's like essentially you're paying a cover, but if you buy enough of that alcohol, you're not paying really a cover anymore. You are just paying, you get that alcohol, that in. So it's like a minimum almost.
Yeah, you're definitely paying at least 250, which again is about $78 US. And if you buy a bunch of drinks, and for reference, a drink's probably at least 40 to 60 per drink. So if you're drinking about 5 drinks throughout the night, then you're going to hit at least that minimum, and you're probably going to go over it a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be at one place for a while, it's actually probably cheaper than back in the clubs in the United States in any major city.
Yeah.
You're paying $20 to $50, maybe to $100 cover.
Yeah.
Plus all the drinks.
Yeah.
So if you're paying $78 for everything, that's not that bad of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at first I hated the consumption stuff.
Yeah.
But after thinking about it for a little while, it's kind of like, well, if I'm going to get that much anyway, and it works out, I think, if you're with somebody and you're just like buying.
Because some people don't drink that much, so they're not going to use. So they'll buy you a drink on theirs.
Yeah, and they'll buy you a drink on theirs, and they'll do it there. And girls and guys were different. So girls were, I think, was
100.
It was 100 reais, and guys were 250, and depending on which one's which. And yeah, the only real negative I see in that, I kind of like the structure because I think it makes it quick, and you just show your card. So whenever you order a drink, you just show your card up, and they just put that right in. But the only real negative is just when you're trying to leave and there's a line to get out because of everyone's either trying to leave or whatever. That's the big negative. But if you're leaving, unless you're just try to pick a time where you don't see a line, I guess, on the way out or something. But yeah, that's definitely a whole lot different than clubs back in the States or anything back in the States. It doesn't work that way. Obviously, you got to tip your bartender every drink and do all that. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So that's that. So moving on to, we covered food, culture, amazing food. Culture is very free. Let's talk about safety a little bit. How do you think? How did you feel around the city?
Yes, I mean, again, personally, I felt very safe the entire time. But I think one of the friends, Marco, that we were talking to quite a bit, he put it very eloquently. He's like, you're in a little bubble here. So to say Sao Paulo is safe, technically it's true in this small bubble, but if you end up believing it, that's not true anymore. He's like, I don't go to certain areas and I speak fluent Portuguese. Yeah. So, and he's been here over 5 years. So yes, I felt very safe, but it's like a very, in this particular area. And I didn't go, we went to Centro and that center part of the city, but you wouldn't go there at night.
Unless you're going to a particular club. Like you don't walk the streets at night.
Yeah. So we had common sense. We knew what areas to go, not to go. So we never had any issues. I mean, we can tell with the security. So if you're going into, an apartment, a condo, or anything like that for our Airbnb, there's like a gate and there's a guard and like a kind of a post or not a tower, but just a kind of little building right there. And you have to wave, and he has to like budge you in. Yeah, every time to every apartment complex. And some have 2 gates, and there's like a double. Gates. And we just learned today that if you use your index finger and they scan your biometrics on your finger and you can go in, or if you do your middle finger, it means you're in distress. Yeah, I'm under duress, and they won't let you in, and they'll know something wrong. Yeah. So that's like the higher end, nicer places where they have the dual gate system. So. I don't know. I feel like it's more of a deterrent at this point, but I mean, I guess it's gotten better over the years from what we've been told. But again, I didn't have any issues, but we were pretty smart about it. We were never really by ourselves in the bad areas at night. Yeah, just don't do that. Just don't be in the bad areas by yourself. Yeah, there's just no reason to be. We were with people from pretty much the entire trip that spoke Portuguese. I was never really. I mean, I was by myself at times, but not really a whole lot. Yeah. And they always said, and I was moving with a purpose. I wasn't calling attention to myself. I knew I looked like I knew where I was going. Don't look lost. Have your phone out. Flashing things. Yeah, that's one of the big things that people would always kept saying, especially in Centro, is just like, put your phone away. Like you can take pictures and you can do that,
But just, be aware of your surroundings. So if you're taking a picture, don't be taking a picture in the middle of some group where people are shoulder to shoulder with you. Look around, see if anything looks sketchy, and then take your picture and then put it back in your pocket. Don't sit out with your phone everywhere. Here in the neighborhood we are, Itaim, that's not an issue. People walk around with their phones out all the time. But if you're down in Centro, I can say that I did feel a little sketch. Like, I was walking around and I couldn't tell because I was in the first couple days if that was just me feeling uncomfortable because, the culture shock aspect, and I'm just very like, okay, this is super new, this is super whatever, or if that was that. But there were definitely some times where I did feel a little bit sketched out a little bit, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep that in my pocket, and I'm gonna.
When they said what they would do is that on the bikes, they'll ride by you on their bike and just grab it and they're gone.
Yeah, we never saw any of this, but that's just what people.
That's
told
what the
us.
tour guide on the tour once who said they would do. He's like, watch out for the bikes.
Yeah,
because they'll just ride by and snag something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, getting back to that, I think it's like any major city, and there's that. Just don't go to the bad areas. Yeah. And you do your research. Make sure you're going to the nicer areas, and you're not yourself going to these bad areas. I'll link in the description below some of the nicer areas that we found, and some of the kind of the must do's and the must sees. But because there is that Batman thing too.
Yeah, I call it Batman. It's spelled Beko do Batman if you're like American, but it's like, how do you pronounce it?
Yeah, you say Batman. Yeah.
And I put a post up on it, but some of the coolest street art that I've seen. So I guess I should have shared that in the beginning when we're talking about touristy things. That's definitely on the top things.
Yeah.
You can do it in the afternoon, spend a couple hours there, but it's just really cool. A lot of people. I went there on a Saturday, so there's a lot of people walking around. But it was just a lot of cool graffiti. People are painting the walls. There's like live music. They have like vendors. You can buy things.
Yep.
It's just very, very cool. Like I think the most basic Instagram posting place I've ever seen.
Graffiti like that, man. You got to do.
It's very cool. Really worth checking out. I'm glad I went.
Yeah. I mean, so you want to do those things, but just don't be going to. I think don't be like just out just walking. Like, make sure that you're going to a neighborhood and that you're going to, that neighborhood. I don't think it's kind of like, Manhattan in a way, where like Manhattan, you can walk from kind of downtown, bottom financial district of Manhattan, pretty much up to the north of Central Park and be straight, and that's like walking for 2-3 hours. You don't really get, I guess, what people would consider sketchy until past Harlem, I guess, at that point. But it's not like that where it's segmented by an island. So just make sure that you're in a neighborhood, that's not too crazy. If you do want to come down here, which I think it's quite the experience. I mean, it's depending on what you're looking for. Like Jay said, I don't think it's a touristy traveling city, but I think it's something that if you're looking for new experiences and you're looking for, just to experience, I think the Brazilian culture. I think it's definitely
worth experiencing firsthand.
Yeah,
maybe another city. I mean, Rio, you have the beach, or we heard Floripa was very nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wouldn't rush to come back to Sao Paulo, but I would definitely rush to go to a different city within Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, the Brazilian culture that I've found, and I think this is kind of obvious by how much I continually want to keep coming back here. It's just rather infectious, and I think it's kind of like it's a good, I think, mixture with where I grew up in the Northeast. It's just kind of like a good. I don't want to say they're opposites, but they're kind of like they're just very, very different. So it's like where I'm from, I feel like is very just a little bit colder, a little bit more work, and that kind of stuff. So I think it really kind of counteracts it pretty well.
But I would say what's somewhat similar is the directness, because from East Coast to West Coast, that's very different. People, you can tell someone from East Coast and Southern California. So I would say that's definitely similarities here. Is the bold, the directness. You're gonna know what's going on. There's even males will give you a lot of strong eye contact that's staying close to you. So if you're not used to that, even if you're coming from like somewhere in the Midwest or West Coast, that could be a culture shock. Where if you're coming from like in New York or Boston, that's just like we deal with that all the time.
Yeah, you deal with a lot bluntness. Yeah, there's not a lot of beating around the bush here, and there's no like being passive aggressive. No, being passive aggressive doesn't really exist here so much. In my experiences, it really doesn't. So yeah, absolutely. So what else?
I think we covered a bunch.
Yeah, we just covered a bunch there. So let's go overall here. So overall, if you're looking for amazing food, some of the best food, you can't say enough good things about the food here. Yeah. It's just
in many different types. So if we want to get specific, we went to an Italian restaurant the first night. We went to, funny enough, an Argentinian steakhouse the second night.
Yeah, because we just came back from Argentina.
Before this. And we went to sushi back-to-back nights. And the sushi, I mean, I'm telling you, if you like sushi, you have to come here.
Yeah, what's that stat that they this has the highest Japanese population?
Outside of Japan.
Yeah,
and I don't know why that is. Hopefully that helicopter.
There's a helicopter landing on the building right next to us.
But yeah, I don't know why this is the highest density of Japanese people outside Japan, but people that live here told us that too.
Yeah.
So the fish was very fresh. It was very good.
God,
So I mean, if you like sushi, you would be very, very happy here. We only got to go to a couple places, and they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
no, they really were.
Yeah.
So looking for great food. Nightlife here, I would say, is top notch.
If I compare to Buenos Aires, I don't know. They're very different.
They're very different.
Maybe here better. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I think. So I thought this is how I would break it down. I would say I thought the places were cooler in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
But I think I like the culture and the type of way that they party here more.
People themselves.
Yeah, I think more. I think
for you, I mean, this is very subjective, but you felt like there was more attractive people in Brazil comparatively.
Yes, comparatively, I think I'm a lot more attracted to people here than in Buenos Aires. But not to say I didn't find women very attractive there. They were very attractive still, but here I think it's a lot more up my alley in terms of the attractiveness. So I think I think the places are. I can't say enough good things about Buenos Aires and the places there.
Don't listen to the last podcast.
Yeah, listen to the last podcast if you want to hear more about the Buenos Aires stuff. And that's the city itself. We dive into a lot of the nightlife there. The places there are just cool. But here it's just more about the way that they party, the type of culture that they have, what is accepted, what's not accepted, what's kind of just the way they interact with people.
There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of things, even just out of we're talking about restaurants and different types of food. I had amazing pizza here. It was so good. Yeah. But even variety within food. I mean, there's variety with things to do in different bars, clubs. There's so many different neighborhoods we didn't even get a chance to go to. Yeah. There's some two major ones that we honestly didn't even get a chance to experience.
Which is going out on Avienda Paulista. We didn't even do that, and that's one of the major ones.
And there's a lot of cool bars and lounges in that area. A couple of clubs. I mean, there's areas that we didn't get a chance to explore. So there's a lot to the city has a lot to offer.
There's a lot.
That's why I'm saying you need some time. It's tough to come in for 3 days.
Yeah. If you came down here though and you said your dating life wasn't so good, I'd challenge that.
100%.
Yeah, I'd challenge that because I think
it sounds harsh, but
yeah, I think it'd be helicopter's taking off. I think it'd be not difficult. I mean, you do have to put yourself out there, and I think you could be maybe a shy American and then maybe not have some luck because you have to be so goddamn blunt here. But I think
because there's just so many ways. I mean,
there's so many ways.
The online dating is
online dating here.
It's
is
different
crazy.
than if we maybe quickly hit on that. It's not much of a taboo. I mean, very attractive, high quality, and just cool people will be on that. Just in terms of high stats, in terms of they're very good with a career, they have a lot going on. Where that type of person may not be on it. Back in the United States, where they'll be on. You'll find them on Tinder.
You'll find them there.
So going out, you can again meet if you're willing to just go up to them and talk to them.
Which they're looking for, and so we can't say that enough. When you go out, you'll just see so many eyes hitting you, and if you see those eyes, that means come speak to me, and if you don't come speak to them, that's you saying I don't like you. So it's very you could be oh, I don't know, should I? Ooh, God, woo, yeah. But it's no, if you don't, they're gonna take that as he doesn't like me. Okay, then she'll give eyes to somebody else. So it's not that's something that need to be stated here. It's just very different from the States in the way that they view the initial kind of interaction. It's they're looking, and if they're looking at you, that means come talk to me.
Yeah. And the last way to meet people, which is the same back home, is what we don't need to maybe go into it specifically tonight, maybe another time, but in terms of day game or just approaching someone you're completely sober.
Yeah.
Not in a bar, club, or online dating. It's just you're living your life. You're walking to a friend's house, you're walking to a restaurant, you see someone, or you're in a grocery store, and you see someone you're attracted to, and just starting that conversation. Yeah. I found that to still work down here. Yeah,
and it's not quite taboo. It's so taboo anyway because of how aggressive I think Brazilian men in general are. I think it's not so crazy.
Yeah, and if people want, we can maybe go over specifics at another time. Yeah. But those are I would say the three main ways. But that's what you do back home, and it's just a little bit easier for all three here.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier, but I think
But again, you have to be taking action for all those.
Yeah, and because of all the options, I think people just don't. It actually, I don't even know if I can say that because it goes down another rabbit hole of the amount of cheating that does happen here. But because it's a lot.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy how much just. And we're not saying this because we were down here and we got cheated on or anything, but it's just kind of like you're just in conversation with people.
They tell people that live here for years.
And just tell us these things where it's just like, you see these people out and they're doing these things and you're like, oh, this guy must be single, and then you start talking to him. It's like, oh no, I've been living with my girlfriend for 5 years. It's like, whoa, Jesus. So, obviously, again, it's not everybody, but it's just kind of just generally. It's something that you just notice. It's something that kind of stands out a little bit. Is that it just seems to be pretty rampant, and I know it happens in the States. It happens everywhere, but it just seems to be a little bit more frequent here, which could be why I think the general thought is Brazilian women can be jealous. It's like, well, maybe that's why. So yeah. So I think nightlife. It's top notch. I think you would be, if you come down here and you want to spend some time here, I think you could definitely have some fun. Yep. That is for sure. You just got to take action here. You can't sit in the sidelines. You gotta try to do it, and you can't and I think this goes for men and women, but women kind of especially, is that if you're a man and you don't actively push the agenda, I would say, you're going to get left in the dust because she's not in the stage where she thinks you're being polite. Here, she's going to think you're not interested and she's going to move on. So just take that as a side note. It's just the way that it is here. It's pretty crazy.
And I think that should be viewed as a positive and motivation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of viewing, and this is maybe an example you could take, and it doesn't have to be Brazilian nightlife, but instead of viewing the reality of the situation, that is that's the fact. That's what's actually happening. Instead of saying, well, it shouldn't be like this, or I am being nice, or it could be like this, or it should. Reacting to what the situation is actually giving you, you're going to be much more effective instead of saying, well, that I don't agree with that, or my morals, my upbringing, my conditioning is this. Well, that doesn't really matter. The reality is that's what's actually happening here. Yeah. So can you effectively maneuver in that environment? Yeah,
and I think that's a good lesson. I think it's
you can do that in anything, whether it's business or whatever. I mean, are you reacting to what's actually happening and what's life that situation is presenting to you? Are you projecting, well, it should be like this, it could be like this, and instead of acting, you're reacting based on what you think it should be?
Yeah, are you adjusting to your environment,
right?
Or are you letting your environment control the situation?
Yep.
Where it's like, hey, listen, the environment here is that it's that. So yeah,
what are you gonna do?
Yes, what are you gonna do? Yeah. So for me, it's I don't want someone to be like, oh yeah, I come down here, it's just easy. It's no, you got to come down here and you got to take action for it. But if you take that action, things are just a lot more obvious. And I think that there's no games.
There's less games.
There's just no games here.
You're gonna know. And someone, there's the rejection. It's not really rejection. It's just oh, they're not interested. And you have to be. I like that as well because you seem to be like, oh no, that's just no, they're
it's
not
quick.
Interested.
It's right away. It's no, we're not gonna fuck around here for a couple dates,
They're not gonna let you buy you a drink, or they're not gonna string you along. It's none of that. You're gonna know, and you need to be confident.
You're gonna know right away.
And you need to be able to handle that and have that fortitude.
The Brazilian women, just kind of in my experiences, and not even just people that I've been seeing or whatever, but just in our interactions with our friends here that are dating and stuff like that, is they just don't take any shit, man. they just don't take any I think it's funny. I visibly laugh out loud the way they bust balls. They just bust your balls, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
they don't let shit slide.
They don't let it slide.
No, so just like quick story. We had a friend who likes to. I love the way that he bust balls back. So he like does it, and he'll say some stuff, and he'll just say some things like, oh, maybe I'll just have a guys' night, and say, oh no, I'm coming. It's like no, I don't know what you're thinking. No, I'm coming. So it's they're funny, man. It's good though. I think it just keeps you level. It keeps you kind of like on that even playing field a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of that, I think if you come down here, put in some work, man, or do you just take some action? Really, not put in too much work, but you just take some action. You could have a great time. You could have a great time here.
Great city.
Yep. It's a lot of fun. Food's fantastic. Safety, we never really had too much of issues. It's not architecturally as beautiful as I would say Buenos Aires was. Nightlife is different, but same with it's later, and it's kind of bar than club, same kind of thing. But yeah, so for me, I obviously love it here, and I'm staying now. I'm staying for a while. And Jay is heading back. He's got to go back to work. I luckily work remote, so I can kind of be here for a longer period of time. So yeah, it's good. It's good, man. So any closing thoughts on Sao Paulo for you?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything that I thought we were going to talk about or wanted to at least share on this. I mean, I think it was a great trip. Really glad we came here. We were kind of going back and forth between here and Rio, and I think for the first time in Brazil, I'm very happy we experienced Sao Paulo together.
Yep, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yep. Love the city. Would definitely want to come back to Brazil and maybe want to check out a different city because it's just so big and they have so much to offer. Yeah. But definitely would want to come back.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely want to come back. The culture is kind of intoxicating a little bit.
Yep.
And I think, like you said, I think at the front, don't let the first couple of days fool you. I think it can just be a culture shock at first.
Yep.
And I think that once you get to day 3, 4, 5, I think is when you really start to like, okay, no, there's a lot of really good aspects, I think, to these differences.
Yeah. And we were lucky because we had people plug us into the social network. Yeah. So we were very fortunate. Without
we
that,
we have a social circle here.
Yeah.
But I still don't think, especially with dating apps and the way that goes.
Without it, you're still going to have a great time.
Yeah, I think it's still really easy to create those experiences because I think it's just dating apps. There's no games on them. There's no games. So, it's not difficult to, I think, create kind of a social circle, a small one, relatively quickly. So yeah, for me, I like it here. I can't wait to keep exploring and keep having good experiences here. I obviously want J-Bo to come back after he leaves tomorrow. We're luckily getting this in. We wanted to get this in before he flies out tomorrow, and we're exhausted, but so
making it happen.
Yeah, hopefully still making it happen. We're still grinding. So so that's it for me. So yeah, if you're looking for a cool enormous city to check out and to kind of check out Brazilian culture, if Brazilian culture interests you or the thought of it, I would say you definitely should check it out, and definitely check it out for, I would say, 5 or more days to really kind of get in, let it sink in, and then be able to experience it, and I think you'll be surprised and pretty happy with I think what you find. There's negatives, of course.
Yep.
But there's a lot of positives, I think, that are pretty good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. So that will do it for us today. We'll get back at you next week with a different guest. Hopefully,
Get in the boot.
Well, you wouldn't be getting the boot if you didn't have to go back. But
yep.
But yeah. So no, this was great, man. I'm so glad you got the experience down here with me. I've been talking to Jay forever about how much I love Brazil, so I'm really glad that he was able to come down and check it out and see like what makes it so, why I love it as much as I do, and why I like coming down here and being here. So I'm glad he got to be able to see it, and we got to talk it out a little bit. So any questions, just, comment, let me know. We'll answer those questions for you, or as much to our best our knowledge.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
For sure.
People want us to go into more specifics of some stories. It's a little easier on one-on-one basis.
Yeah, it's a little easier that way. So
on a general platform.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So yeah, this was good, my man. So thank you so much. Yeah. So until next time, be happy, be healthy, and keep grinding.
But I'm the one
Peace out.